Champions are not born. They're forged. This is about turning the ordinary into undisputed. Available now. Ade Oladipo, brought to you by Undisputed.
Afternoon, peeps. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. This video is sponsored by Undisputed. The new takeover pack is available to download right now. Just go to playundisputed.com. All right. Still shaken up a little bit by that Ricky Hatton news. Tragic news. Honestly, tragic. I wrongly jumped the gun, and I want to apologize by assuming it was suicide. That hasn't been confirmed. I did read the article in the Manchester Evening News, and I think the police are not treating this death as suspicious. So immediately I jumped to suicide. It could have been one of three things. So that was wrong of me. I shouldn't have done that. So apologies if that has caused offence to anyone. On Ricky Hatton, I was on TalkSport about 2 hours ago. They asked me to come on and give my sort of thoughts and views on him. And the best way I can describe Ricky is that boxing is such a working class sport, right? Like a true working class sport. But ultimately, if you reach the heights that Ricky reached and make the money Ricky made, millions, you do separate yourself from being working class, right? Because you're no longer working class. But he had a way of still staying working class, and I think that's why people loved him. And that's not just boxers, by the way. Most sports stars, right? Once you reach sort of, I don't know, the heights again of the top elite sports stars where you're making so much money, you do separate yourself from where you came from. But boxing, I guess because it is a proper working class sport, when you do separate yourself, it makes the gap feel so much bigger. But Ricky was still very much working class. Like, Ricky's the type of person you felt like you could just pop to a pub and see him there and he's going to have a chat with you. And that's just rare, isn't it? It just doesn't happen. I've been around Ricky a few times at events, and I'm telling you now, the people loved him. Absolutely loved him. He would sign as many sort of posters and T-shirts and take photos and just have a joke with random strangers. He was that guy. So I think that's why this is hitting hard for a lot of people, because you could relate to Ricky. He was relatable. That's what it is. Whereas many other people, sports stars, just aren't relatable. So yeah, very, very sad. Again, I've done a little video on my YouTube. I don't know what I was saying in it. I was all over the place. But yeah, very, very sad. I wasn't going to do this video, again, just because of the Ricky news. I wanted to kind of just not do anything. But I do travel in a few hours. And I was in Belfast yesterday. As you guys know, I was at Windsor Park for Crocker versus Paddy Donovan. And because there was controversy in their first fight, controversy again in their second fight, I did want to talk about it. There was about 18,000 at Windsor Park. It did sound like about 30,000. The Irish do make a racket, like maybe more so than any other fan base. Obviously, I've been to a few Katie Taylor fights and they do make themselves known. But yeah, great atmosphere. But let's get to the fights. This doesn't have to be a long video. Look, firstly, congratulations to Crocker. I mean, childhood dream. I mean, fought at Windsor Park, and he lives a stone's throw away from Windsor Park. Would have made some good money, and is a world champion. Like, no one's ever going to take that away from him. Like, that night, no matter what he does in his career, that will always be the greatest night of his life. Unless he goes on to become undisputed at Windsor Park or something, right? But that would always be the greatest night of his life. But I do think that the result was quite controversial. Obviously, look, he got 2 knockdowns, and those are 10-8 rounds, right? I mean, those rounds don't have to be 10-8, but 9 times out of 10, they're a 10-8 round. And he boxed differently. You look at his face in the first fight, you look at his face after last night, you wouldn't even know he had a fight last night. So he boxed a lot more cautious. He showed he could box, where people just think of him as a brawler, because that's what he's done most of his career. I think he showed us yesterday, no, I can box as well. He boxed at a really good tempo. He kept Paddy Donovan guessing to the point where Paddy Donovan looked kind of offset all the time. That being said, I thought Paddy Donovan won the fight. Aside from maybe those 2 knockdowns, and maybe the first round, which I think most people had as a 10-10, I genuinely think Paddy Donovan won every other single round. And look, I sometimes wonder how I score fights, and most times I'm not locked in looking at it. But I done the rounds in terms of spoke to everyone ringside. Every person I spoke to had Paddy Donovan winning that fight. Not one person had Crocker. So if you're Paddy Donovan, you have to feel a bit aggrieved. You have to feel aggrieved. Should he have been on the front foot a bit more? Should he have pushed it a bit more? Yes. But ultimately, he won more rounds than Lewis Crocker. And I think, just my own personal opinion, that Paddy Donovan should be the reigning or current IBF welterweight champion. I think he should feel very aggrieved. Very aggrieved. But maybe he'll watch it back with Andy Lee and think, we should have done a bit more here. That there was too much kind of just both of them looking at each other and thinking, okay, someone needs to do something here. Like, no one's doing anything. But I thought it was Paddy on the front foot. I thought Paddy landed more. The punch stats must say that. But maybe Crocker landed the eye-catching punches. I don't know. But I think Paddy should be a bit upset with that one. As for Crocker, I mean, the world's his oyster right now. I think it's, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, I think it's one of the poorest welterweight divisions ever, in terms of the champions, ever. Brian Norman, I think, is good, but we don't know. He hasn't fought anyone. Will fight someone November 22nd in Devon Haney. Barrios, Rolly Romero, and Lewis Crocker. If I'm Lewis Crocker, I know we called out Conor Benn, and that's a big fight. It's a big money fight. You'll look at it as a winnable fight, maybe, right? I'd be looking at unifications because those other guys are beatable. Brian Norman might be the best, but they're beatable. They're beatable. No one there is like, oh my God. Like, no one. And this is, welterweights have always had fighters in the sort of pound for pound, right? None of those welterweight champions are top 30, maybe not even top 40 pound for pound. That's how I think how poor the division is. So it's there for the taking. So if you're Lewis Crocker, you start to speak to Eddie and say, okay, what can we do? Because he can clearly sell a ticket. I don't know if he can sell enough to get one of the champions over, but he can definitely have good fights and big fights. And I think he's got a bit of a fan base where the fans might travel for him as well. So, yeah. As for Paddy Donovan, he's young enough to bounce back, but he needs to look at that fight. He messed up the first time round with the elbows and the punches after the bell, and I think he messed up. I think he lost that fight by just not being on the front foot enough. So they need to get something over the line there with him. Maybe something mentally, like, you know, these are big opportunities you're getting, dude. Big opportunities. You've got a great trainer in Andy Lee. You just need to find just a little bit more. So that was the main event. The chief support was as controversial. Ishmael Davis versus Kevin Ajaka, which I thought was a really good fight. I thought the tempo of the fight was fantastic. Credit to both. It's two styles that gelled and matched. Kevin Ajaka, very much counter puncher on the back foot, happy to sit on the ropes. Ishmael Davis, who looked fucking enormous on the front foot, landing shots. I don't know, you know when it went, I think it was a split, right? Was it a split or majority? I can't remember, but I remember thinking, okay, Ishmael's got this. Like, Kevin did it well. Kevin, bear in mind, there was a knockdown, which wasn't a knockdown for me, but it was scored a knockdown. So I thought, okay, with that knockdown, unfortunately, Kevin's lost his fight. I say unfortunately because I'm a big fan of Kevin. I'm a big fan of Ishmael as well, to be honest. But I thought, you know, home fighter, got big opportunity. You kind of want to see the home fighters do well. So I thought, you know, he's not got it. His face all busted up. I saw him after. Both eyes really swelled. But that's not an indication you lost, but clearly he took a lot of punishment. I think Ishmael can feel a bit aggrieved as well. Again, maybe I don't know what I'm seeing, but I thought Ishmael would think, shit, did I not win that? Kevin might have landed the sharper shots, but I thought Ishmael on the front foot. I thought Ishmael starting to bully him. Like, I thought Kevin maybe won the majority of the first 4 or 5 rounds, and then I felt like Ishmael went away. Honestly, I thought Ishmael went away and started bullying him, and I think Kevin had it might have been a good round 10 or 11, but I didn't think that was enough, again, because of the knockdown. So, yeah, a couple of interesting results I felt in Belfast. I thought Molly McCann looked good on her boxing debut or professional boxing debut. Pat Brown looked like a monster. Like, it's almost like he led that Nigerian fighter into a false sense of security where the first round, it's almost like he gave it away a little bit. And I think the guy got comfortable and then he just fucking killed him. basically, didn't he? He just started to go through the gears and boom, 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 boom. And I actually thought the referee jumped in early, but then when I watched it back, I was like, okay, no, the referee saved that guy. Referee saved that dude. So, yeah, look, I guess what it does mean with Lewis Crocker is that we will go back to Belfast, which is nice. We don't go there enough, and they've clearly got an appetite for boxing that they've had for years, right? Decades. So it will be nice to go back there, and I think we will now go back there because of Kevin, because of Lewis Crocker, and a few of the undercard fighters as well. All right, I've not seen it, but I do know that Inoue comfortably outboxed Ahmed Aliyev. I think he won 10 rounds to 2. Damn. Considering that Ahmed Aliyev was screaming for this fight and Eddie was screaming for this fight for the best part of a year, he basically just didn't do nothing. That was, I believe, Inoue's 4th or 3rd. I think, I've got to double check this. I think it was his 4th fight of 2025. It can't be. It must have been his 3rd. Must have been his 3rd. But I know he's going to, or at least they're looking at getting him out again in December, which is crazy. Yeah, 3rd fight of 2025. And they're looking at getting him out in December for 4 fights. And then he said he wants Nakatani. So that's the super fight in Japan. All right, guys, girls, again, very, very quick video. Thank you very, very much. I will try and do videos when I travel, but I do want a little bit of a break. It's been a busy period for me. But who knows? Something crazy happens, you know, I will bring out the camera and I will record. If nothing crazy happens, I will see you the week after next. Peace.
Champions are not born, they're forged. This is about turning the ordinary into undisputed. Available now. Areola Depot, brought to you by Undisputed.